4 years after the release of Jim Collier's video, Fox produced a special entitled Conspiracy Theory, Did We Land on the Moon? Collier's argument was featured in this video.
Background discrepancies are also apparent in the lunar video.
The best evidence are some pictorial anomalies in the photographic record of the trip to the moon. There is one for Apollo 16 where the same shot, the same hill, appears in 2 different days.
This tape was shot on what was reported to be the first of Apollo 16's lunar excursions.
But it couldn't pick a better spot.
And this video was from the next day at a different location.
It is the most beautiful sight.
NASA claims the second location was 2.5 miles away. But when one video is superimposed over the other, the locations appear identical.
The conspiracy theorists see that as evidence that we didn't go to the moon, that it was staged, and the opposite point of view is that it's a case of bad editing.
It's absolutely unreal.
S. Vector used clips from this documentary in his Lunar Legacy series. Knowing this, S. Vector either did not watch the film the whole way through, or knew about this segment from it and intentionally kept quiet about it so he could try and pin it on Sabrell. S. Vector also gives credit to the Bad Astronomy website, and uses many arguments from Phil Plate's review of the Fox program. In that review, Plate does indeed discuss the Apollo 16 backdrop discrepancy, and admits that it came from an official documentary released by NASA. This adds strong evidence that this was not an honest mistake on S. Vector's part. So which was it? A colossal mistake caused from sloppy research, or a premeditated attack?
But it couldn't pick a better spot. John, you're just beautiful. That is the most beautiful sight. That's it. You're standing there on the rim of that crater. Wow, what a place. What a view, isn't it, John? It's absolutely unreal. We really come up here, Tony. It's just spectacular. I have never seen it. I like it.
Whilst reading through Harry Hurt's book, I discovered a similar discrepancy. Before we begin, I must emphasize that Mr. Hurt is very well aware of the Apollo hoax controversy, and sums it up in this paragraph.
Although Project Apollo was one of the most extensively documented undertakings in human history, many of the Earth's 5 billion inhabitants still refuse to believe that 12 astronauts really did set foot on the moon. Exactly how many people cling to this preposterous heresy is unknown, because there's never been a worldwide opinion poll on the subject. But just as members of the Flat Earth Society in London continue to dispute evidence that the world is round, untold numbers of serious and not so serious disbelievers continue to insist that man's first lunar landings were actually a series of government-sponsored Hollywood hoaxes.
As Ralph Renee put it, Harry Hurt seems, dare I say, hurt by the growing disbelief in the moon landings. So hurt that he has gone as far as calling some conspiracy theorists liars. It seems to me that he trusts NASA entirely, and that's all very well. Mr. Hurt, I leave you with your opinions, but for now, I wish to bring forth a discrepancy in the photos featured in your book. In the photos section, between pages 274 and 275, there is a 2-page layout of Apollo 11 photographs. Among them is this photo showing the Command Module Columbia floating against the moon. The caption reads, "The Apollo 11 Command and Service Module, as seen from the lunar module in lunar orbit." When I first saw this photo, I couldn't help but recall seeing it somewhere before. On his webpage, regarding the TV quality, Jay Windley displays this image of a CSM. His caption reads, "The high-gain S-band antenna array on the Apollo 15 service module." When we compare Windley's picture of Command Module Endeavour with Hertz's picture of Command Module Columbia, we can see that the two images match up perfectly. The image number for Windley's picture is AS15-88-11974. This made it easy to find the image at the Apollo Archive website. It turns out that the Clavis picture was cropped and reframed, and the original picture shows a much wider view of the lunar surface. If we rotate the image clockwise and then compare it over Hertz's picture, we find that even the landscape matches up exactly the same. Evidently, it seems that NASA used the exact same picture on two completely separate missions. Why was Harry Hurt, a proud historian and participant of the documentary bearing the same title as his book, led to believe that this photo was taken on Apollo 11 if it were actually taken on Apollo 15? My second example of NASA using one image twice comes straight from NASA's website. On April 22nd, 2008, NASA displayed this image on their homepage. The caption given reads, "Even as humanity ventures further and further into the solar system, focus on our planet is sharp as ever. Whether taken from astronauts in orbit, satellites circling above, or spacecraft at the Moon and Mars, NASA's stunning images of Earth highlight the diversity, fragility, and beauty of the place we call home." Apollo 8 astronaut Bill Anders, who took the famous Earthrise photo above in 1968, noted later, "Here we come all this way to the Moon, and yet the most significant thing we're seeing is our home planet, the Earth." It is quite clear that NASA themselves are claiming that this Earthrise photograph was taken on Apollo 8. But was it? A long time ago, whilst browsing through the Apollo Archive website, I came upon this series of photographs from Apollo 11 showing the Earthrise. Going by an obvious hunch, I took the liberty of comparing these Apollo 11 images with the Apollo 8 image on NASA's homepage. If we zoom in on the Apollo 11 Earthrise and mirror the image, we find that the cloud formation and surface feature locations are identical to those in the Apollo 8 Earthrise. If we reverse the image and compare it with the Apollo 11 photo, we find the images are exactly the same. Even the continent of Australia is clearly recognisable. Clearly, the two photos of the Earth are the same. Why did NASA claim this image of Earth was taken on Apollo 8 and Apollo 11? Could this have been an accident? No. When we compare this series of Apollo 11 images with the so-called Apollo 8 image, we can see that the elevation between the Earth and the lunar horizon changes in size. They do not match up. Evidently, Not only did NASA use the same image of the Earth, they also adjusted the position of the same landscape backdrop to make the two images appear somewhat different. We have seen not one, but 4 examples of photographic material used twice and purported to be from 2 separate events. It's almost like one of those old cartoons, with the same scenery scrolling past in the background. Perhaps NASA did this for the same reason, to cut expenses.